Isaac, California.
Whittier, California.
Yeah, hello?
Hey.
Hi.
Big fan of the show. I'm just a bit nervous talking to you guys. Big fan.
Chill out. It's only
What you got?
thousands of people.
We're just people. What
Very
you got?
small show.
Growing up here in Los Angeles all my life, I grew up with Mexican immigrants, and usually, the Hispanic community is usually, socially conservative and really because of being more religious.
What are they, Catholic?
Yeah, there's probably a lot of Catholicism, I would guess.
Yeah, for the most part. My dad was a Catholic, but my mother was a Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay. Did they get along?
Yeah, my dad's been here since '79.
War. There was several decades of bloody violence in Ireland over that sort of thing. So.
Religiously get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not asking about marital bliss,
right? No.
I was confused.
I wasn't trying to pry into their personal life.
I'm teasing.
No, it's okay.
So what you got?
Ever since I became an atheist, last year, I went through certain phases, but basically I always thought, why is it that minorities are usually more religious? Since especially in Western nations, they usually turn out.
Are you asking us, or do you have a theory?
Well, I kind of do have a theory on that because.
Okay, let's hear it. We're a couple of middle-aged white men, so when we talk about what motivates minorities, we're bound to step in something that'll get us angry mail.
I can throw something out if you want.
I have speculation, but I'd rather hear yours, Isaac.
Sure.
Well, for black people, one of the things is that slavery, since they were subjugated and usually they were taught the Bible and everything, and I think one of the main reasons many of them converted was not really the whole, fear of punishment, but more of the wanting the whole reward that their life sucked now, but, when they die, they might get rewarded for it.
Okay,
sure.
Well, but what about Hispanics specifically?
Well, from experience, usually one of the things was that, a little bit of that, the whole reward thing, since, when the Europeans came here to the Americas, they usually, raped and pillaged all in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's cultural, right? Because you tend to adopt the religion of your parents. Right.
Yeah, and usually they did do it out of fear. They did it out of fear as well. They, killing most of the population and having to convert. People, we used to worship Quetzalcoatl. Well, I'm just speaking for my lineage, but
right.
But we don't do that anymore. And I seem to wonder that why is it that we accept it now, knowing what happened in the past?
Having already given the disclaimer, Don, do you want to say what you think?
Well, I was going to dovetail with something that you said, and that is, if you are an oppressed person, you may not feel much of a sense of control, and having a religion that allies you with a powerful God might be very appealing, and it also dovetails with this reward idea of, yes, I'm suffering now, but eventually things will get better, and it's a way of maybe getting through a tough time or dealing with oppression. So I think that's partly why religions are appealing to minorities.
I also say, and I feel like I'm drawing on the experience of minorities that I've talked to, so I'm sure they'll write to me and tell me if I'm wrong. But it seems like being a minority, racism is a thing, sexism is a thing. When you're a member of a less privileged group, you kind of have a hard time getting allies because just being in that group makes you a target of suspicion. So religion can be a form of having a support network, and it's not that there aren't any prominent black atheists, and there are a lot of women atheists, but at the same time, it's a much bigger risk for somebody to come out voluntarily as a member of another oppressed group, which is atheists, because we're looked at with suspicion. And so if you come out with atheists as an atheist to your predominantly Catholic family, let's say, you dump your support network too, and it's way harder to do that than when you're a middle-aged white guy. Does that sound reasonable?
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of tough to come out, especially to my mom, because, they genuinely believe it. And...
well, your story is very common. I hear it several times every time I come to an atheist meeting or group of some sort. So, and it's tough, right? Because you're a bit of an outsider now, right?
Yeah, I'm actually like the only non-Christian in my immediate and extended family, actually.
Right, and if you're recently out, you have to kind of adjust, right? Because the relationships are changing a little bit because you've changed. And there has to be a new normal. I think a mistake that atheists sometimes make is when something's new, it's kind of overly important because it's your new toy, your new identity, and you tend to kind of be a little bit of a crusader, and maybe you forget all the things that you have in common with your family. I'm not accusing you of doing this, but I'm saying it's a common thing that when someone comes out as an atheist, they tend to kind of go a little overboard for a bit and then settle down.